Great. Perfect. I'm glad I caught myself there. Okay. All right. Can you guys see? Let me just, this is new techie stuff I got. Oh, wow, look at that. Okay. All right, so you are in the right place if you do not want another divorce or heartbreak. You know, obviously, most of you who are in my community have come through the Divorcing with Dignity Summit. So I'm assuming that you've been through some sort of divorce or heartbreak in your life, and you do not want that to happen again. So that's check number one. Even if you were already dating someone new since being divorced and it's been a while and you want to make that relationship last, we're definitely going to cover those things as well. You tend to attract the wrong people and you push the right ones away. So this can be a habit or a pattern that you might not even be aware of right now, but we're going to kind of bring that to light throughout this webinar. You want deep satisfaction even in being single. So, you know, this isn't about just getting a man or a woman or getting a new relationship and finding satisfaction through that. It's actually learning how to be that way on your own, which actually allows you to be set up for a better experience in relationship going forward. You desire more love in your life in general from friends, family, and others. So this is just kind of making your life better as a whole. You desire more, or you want some answers as to why your divorce may have happened. So a lot of clients come to me, they're kind of flabbergasted as to what happened, depending on who left who or what went down, and you kind of want to know why and maybe what you could have done about it or what you can do going forward to ensure it doesn't happen again. And you are ready to make yourself and your love life a priority. So these are all reasons why you should be excited that you're here. So to get the most of this training, I invite you to please turn off your cell phones and get into a distraction-free environment and take some notes if you want, that you can just kind of remind yourself of what we talked about and then also participate via the chat box, which I really want you to do so I know that you are getting what I'm saying and if you have any questions. Okay, so here we go. So who am I? I am Amanda Lee, and most of you know me as the founder of LoveMetamorphosis.com, which is a blog that I started in my journey throughout divorce and heartbreak to kind of piece the things together that were happening and try to figure out how I could transform through them. So it's kind of my story of my journey through my divorces and my journey in love. And I'm also the host of the Divorcing with Dignity Summit, which attracted over 700 people from around the world with 21 different experts where we talked about all different topics pertaining to divorce and heartbreak. I am a single mom. I'm 34 years old, and I have been through divorce 2 times. I got married the first time when I was 22 and divorced at 27, and I got married again shortly after and divorced again. So obviously I have been through the ringer as it comes to relationships, and I had multiple different heartbreaks in between those times. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Women's Studies and Women's Counseling, and so I have a passion for impacting people, all sorts of people, but women especially, but men as well. I'm definitely drawn to because I feel like a lot of men want personal growth and development, but they're not as sure of where to go. So I definitely see a new crop of men that are definitely attracted to this work, and that is awesome. So I've spent hundreds of hours and probably thousands of dollars in coaching and love work that I've spent on myself, healing my things and getting to the root of my stuff. And I feel like I've come to a conclusion of what the best formulas and practices are, and I want to streamline it for you so that you do not have to go through what I did, which was multiple divorces and multiple years of pain. So my mission is I stand for transformation through divorce and heartbreak. I truly believe that when you are in that place of pain through divorce and heartbreak, you can really use it as a platform for your growth. So I'm especially attracted to the people who want to grow from it, who want to know why, and who are ready to step forward into a new existence and a new life. So a lot of the clients who are stuck in negative patterns and whatnot, you know, they don't gravitate towards me because I do speak a positive message about transformation through divorce. So I want to take the stigma of divorce away, and it's you know, the feeling of failure with it. And I want to provide a place of grace and healing and a hope for a future that is even better than anything you can have ever experienced, and tangible change you can see and feel. So today you're going to learn about the 3 different stages of love, and probably figure out what stage you may be in, or what stage you were in your marriage or relationship, and then the next steps for you to move to the next stage. And we're going to talk about some love blocks that may be holding you back from experiencing more love. So if you stay to the end, you have a chance to win a free love blocks clearing with me, to get more freedom, get more love, and get your life back. So really powerful. My clients pay a lot of money to be able to have this opportunity to do a one-on-one love blocks clearing with me. And I'm going to offer that to a lucky participant who stays to the end. So that's a nice warning for you to do that. All right, so let's talk about my story a little bit. So I had a lot of difficulties in my childhood, and you know, I'll be honest, it's not as bad as like some people. You know, I wasn't in like a very serious, dangerous situation, but I did have childhood wounds. Okay, I did have things that were dictating not only how I viewed myself, but also how I viewed love and relationships. So typically we learn from what we've observed, both between our parents together and from our parent, each individual one to us. And so my childhood was really filled. And when I say childhood, I really mean any span from, you know, birth until like, you know, 12, 13 years old, any time in there. You know, my younger years were pretty good, and I had a family that, you know, it seemed fine to me. But when I was probably in like the 4th grade or so, my mom was going through a really difficult time, and she kind of became very angry and abusive towards me, and nothing I could do was really good enough. And I had this feeling of failure around her a lot. She also opened up to me about an affair she was having. At that young age, it was just too much for me to handle, obviously, but I became the role of being her counselor. And my dad also was very highly critical, always trying to, you know, get me to do my best, but I often felt like what I did still was not enough. And my parents got divorced when I was in the 8th grade, and my mom left. So she physically left and moved to another province. I'm from Canada, by the way. And that was extremely painful. And I stayed with my dad for multiple different reasons. But, you know, my mom left. She chose another life over me and my brother. So you can imagine, in those sensitive years as teen years, just how much struggle I had in that time. And I had always been interested in boys since I was young, and I often chased after love. And this was not just with men or boys at that age. It was with my love relationships with my friends as well. I constantly was a people pleaser, needing people to like me, and kind of searching for the answers from others to make me feel good about myself. I had very low self-worth, self-esteem, and I was constantly chasing after friendships. So my role in relationships was chasing. I was the chaser. I would, you know, chase after friends, chase after boys, whoever I needed to convince to love me. That was the theme. And you can see how it translated from my childhood. And so I got married very young, out of a Bible college that I went to. The day after we graduated, actually, I was 22 years old. And it was a very unhealthy relationship. And I'm a big believer in like attracts like within relationships. And it was a very codependent relationship. He was an alcoholic and an addict in his past. And when I met him, he didn't exhibit any signs of that. But it didn't take very long for those things to kind of come to the surface after we were married. And, you know, I could blame that all on him, but a lot of it was me as well. I had eating issues and food addiction issues, and was very insecure still with my body and who I was. And I was in a very codependent state. And so that marriage lasted about 6 years. And when it ended, it provoked a lot of soul-shattering heartbreak. And I actually met someone during that time who I would equate to a soulmate kind of connection. And he and I just had this natural affinity towards one another. And I really think that I had fallen in love for the first time. And He also was definitely unavailable to me in a lot of ways. He was a lot younger than me, and I just fell in love with him, and I put all my hope into him as being the answer for me. And he and I were together for a little while, and he too left to go pursue something else, and I was devastated. I mean, the pain of my divorce and that losing that love at the same time was debilitating. There was days I could not even get out of bed. And I just didn't know the purpose of my life anymore. I was just empty and broken. And he really woke me up to figuring out who I was. So I began my work on myself, and I started researching the word soulmate because that's the word that was kind of presented to me when I shared our relationship and the way it felt. And I was just determined to find it again, right? So it's almost like I say this with love. It's like, if all you're eating is burgers, you don't know that filet mignon even exists. Once you have filet mignon, you're like, okay, I do not want a burger anymore. And that's the way it had happened, was I now had this new experience, this new level of love that I was experiencing. And I wanted to feel that again. And I couldn't go back to just regular dating or regular relationships. I needed another soulmate. And I concluded that the way to do this was to do work on myself. So I started doing a lot of things around my childhood and all sorts of stuff to kind of figure out, who I was, what my purpose in my life was, why I was creating these patterns. And I focused a lot of time and money on that. And I thought that I had, I learned how to really attract in love. I made a list of the type of person I wanted, and I really wrote down a lot of things that this other guy, the qualities that he had, because I wanted to experience it again. And I was so determined and desperate to find love again. I was just on this search. And I met my daughter's father, and we, again, had this sort of chemistry, this connection that was very intoxicating, and he matched everything on my list. And I was like, oh, this is definitely it. This is it. This is, the love that I want. And I really tried to convince myself on a lot of levels that this was it. And I jumped very quickly. We got married in 6 weeks, and I was like, this is it. So why would I hesitate? And as you can imagine, all of the stuff from my past started to rear its ugly head. Even though I thought I had done what I needed to do, I still didn't get to the root of the problem. It was more of the same, more of the feeling of me having to convince somebody to love me, more of me feeling I was not good enough. And pretty much the way that it works is I would show up like my mother in relationship, which was very emotionally unstable, not emotionally fit, very masculine, controlling, demanding. And the men that I was attracted to were very much like my father. And you can see different aspects of this playing out in your relationships. It could be the opposite, but men who were like my father, which was highly critical. I had to convince them to love me. I didn't feel enough, that sort of thing. So, and he had his own stuff as well, and he was definitely unavailable emotionally. He was not really open to communicating and connecting with me, and we definitely just went through the ringer. And now I had a baby to deal with. I got pregnant very quickly, and so I went through a second divorce. And you can imagine how much of a failure I felt. I had just pretty much declared to the world that this was the love of my life, and I got married to him in 6 effing weeks. 6 weeks! And everybody was kind of shocked and surprised that I was doing this, obviously, and I really just didn't care, and I was like, this is it. And so I had to really hang my head humbly, and it was embarrassing, pretty much, to say the least. But I really just picked up right where I left off of the inner work that I was doing. And this time I really got to the root of the issue, and I began to rewire myself for healthy love, and I changed my foundation. So we're going to talk about the 3 different stages and kind of like how those have showed up in relationship. And I'm just going to come into, I'm just going to escape this real quick so that I can just check and see who is watching and see if we've got any more people who've joined us, and just say hi really quick. Okay, cool. Awesome. Look at all these peeps. Hi guys. So glad you're here. All right, so I'm going to keep going. We're going to talk about the 3 stages of love, and I'm kind of going to explain how each one was in my life and how I showed up, and maybe you can kind of see yourself in some of this, and we're going to talk about how you can learn from this to move forward. Deal? Okay, cool. All right, let's go back to sharing the screen. And here we go. All right, so stage 1, I need you to love me. Okay, so this is a stage 1 type of relationship. And I just want to explain here that not only can the relationship be in this stage in and of itself, but I'm talking about the individuals within the relationship. Okay, stage 1 level of love. So this stage is really about traditional roles within relationships. So often, you know, it's kind of like the housewife and the you know, kind of jock, manly guy kind of relationship. And, you know, this kind of shows up in different ways. So it's a very, or it could be reverse roles, but there's polarity there. It just isn't healthy polarity. Okay. So either the woman is the one taking care of the children, very like needy, that sort of thing. And the man is doing his thing. And so they've got this polarity going on, but it's not a healthy kind of polarity. Or it could be reversed, where the woman is extremely masculine and the man is more feminine in that way, but there's polarity there in some way. But this is a relationship, and you as an individual are revolving around codependence. Okay, so this is all about really getting your needs met. And, you know, for women in their feminine, their primary way of doing this is giving and receiving love, right? She has a lot of joy in relationships, intimate partners, with her children, with her friends, with God. She's yearning for a way to connect and kind of like experience that love. And so she kind of does whatever she needs to do to make that happen. And she tends to lose herself in a relationship. So she'll become whatever the man wants her to be to gain his love. She'll also sacrifice herself endlessly for her children and those around her. And I'm not talking about a loving sacrifice of giving. This is different, okay? So she is suffering in this giving, actually, because she's not whole in herself. And so for the man, the masculine in this stage is primarily struggling with himself. Okay, he's learning how to move beyond his own fears, and he really is looking to prove himself through things. Okay, so he wants sex, he wants money, he wants a good job. He's looking to those type of external things to define himself. And this is all about getting his needs met, and it's all about getting her needs met. So they're really doing whatever they need to do. Typically, men, this is sexual needs, but it can also be ego needs of making him feel good. And for a woman, this is like obviously love needs. And again, masculine and feminine, I'm telling you, it could show up differently. So if you were more in the masculine as a woman, it might have showed up in the opposite for you, and whatever. So when I say masculine and feminine, that's different from man and woman, but I'm just going to kind of explain that to you. So yeah, the first stage man is always looking for a bigger sword. He's always looking for a better car. He's always looking for the next thing. He's chasing after all these things to kind of boost himself up to make him feel good. And the first stage woman is always hoping for more love. She's looking for more intimate relationships, and she's looking to find fulfillment. And she really will do anything to get this. She will give up her own needs, her own power, her own authority, and she'll give them up to, like I said, her children, her husband, her friends, or whatever she thinks she needs to get this love. And she finds it very difficult to own her own needs, her own power, her own identity, and she has no boundaries. So she seeks to fill herself with stuff to kind of maybe imitate love. So this could look like overeating with ice cream, chocolate, cookies, overspending, buying things, making her house look good, feeling all these things that she's trying to fill this vacant hole in her heart, or, you know, watching a lot of soap operas, reading romance novels, I don't know, whatever it is that she's chasing to kind of make herself feel alive. And she settles really for this kind of relationship, and a woman in this stage could find herself in an abusive relationship, and she thinks she can change the man, and she just wants him to love her, etc. And you know, the first stage man is kind of doing the same thing of chasing all of his worth, and he will not really be able to offer himself completely to his woman. And he's looking to get his needs met sexually primarily, and he's honest about it. He's honest about sex. He's honest about, you know, the body, the type of body that he wants, etc. There's a lot of power struggle here, okay? Because each person is trying to get something from the other person. I need you to give me this. I need you to give me this. And there's just a constant source of argument and struggle. And, you know, this can be really painful. And what happens is, you know, a lot of couples can come together in this stage of love where it's very superficial and surfacey. And as the relationship progresses, there's no depth there to keep it together. And you can imagine the power struggles and the codependence basically erodes away at it over time. So this was the complete experience of my first marriage. And it was 100% this on both ends. And I needed love. And I needed to feel loved, to make myself feel good about myself. And, you know, he was very much struggled with porn addiction in general, and it was very codependent. And we had a lot of power struggles. So that was it. So basically what happens is divorce can happen during this stage, obviously by everything I just explained, but it can also happen where one of the partners wants to move to the next stage and the other one is not willing to go. So in a way that happened for me too. I was starting to become aware of what was going on, and I wanted to move to a more independent state for myself. And a lot of times women will leave because they want to find their independence. They want to figure out who they are. They don't want to be dependent on their man anymore. And a man can be left flabbergasted in the stage of a marriage ending, of what just happened. But the woman is starting to stand on her own, and her pain becomes so great that she will no longer do just anything for the exchange of love. And, you know, even though she wants that intimate relationship, she becomes determined to stand on her own ground, okay? And she moves into the second stage. So, and for the man, the same thing can happen where he just is so over it and numb himself. And so he starts looking for ways to move into the next stage, and he's kind of over women using him. So this can also look like really good guys who give themselves up a lot, will pay for everything or do whatever for their women, and the woman's just not appreciating him. And he kind of just is over it as well. So I say the bridge from stage 1 to stage 2 is a fuck you bridge. It really is. It's like, fuck you and the way you are, and I don't want this anymore, and I want to be on my own. So that can also happen to someone who goes through a divorce and the other person leaves, and now they're in stage 1, moving to stage 2, where they're like, fuck you, because they're angry. And so that can happen. So the key to healing from a stage 1 to a stage 2 existence is childhood work, okay, to get through that codependence. And you may think you don't have childhood issues. You may have not had anything dramatic show up for you, abuse or your parents abandoning you or anything like that. But there are subconscious wiring that's been put in your brain of how relationships are supposed to be and who you're supposed to be attracted to. And it's quite powerful. So this is the stage where we need to do some work on that to kind of figure out what's holding you back and what is your wiring and why you're attracted to these kind of people to begin with, okay? All right, so now we move to stage 2. And stage 2 is an I love me stage. So like I said, the first stage is about codependence. This stage is about independence. Second stage, man is devoted to self-improvement. So he wants to be on his own. He's definitely, instead of trying to acquire things, he's now looking to develop and improve himself. And, you know, the second stage woman is devoted to loving herself instead of giving up her own needs in the sake of another, of receiving love. She's kind of like, that's it. I'm not going to be dependent on the love of another anymore. And the man's like, that's it. I'm not going to be dependent on these things and these people outside of myself. And they kind of both go inward. And there's a tendency to have a protection mechanism in this stage of walls that are up to protect you, because you've either witnessed a stage 1 relationship through your parents, or you've been a part of a stage 1 relationship through your last marriage and relationship, and you don't want to happen again. You're saying, hell no, I'm going to put up these walls to protect me. And, you know, the second stage woman is starting to learn how to stand whole. And she surrounds herself with a lot of other second stage women. And I would say that feminism kind of starts from this stage. We can do it on our own. We don't need men. And listen to me, I'm all for equal rights. I'm all for women being independent. I'm all for women being whole and voting and all the things that we have gone through. But I do think that the feminist movement has gone too far and has destroyed our relationships for this very reason. And this notion of a woman who becomes very masculine. She cultivates this masculine energy within herself. And this is not necessarily a bad thing. You definitely need to have a balance of both. But the problem is she doesn't know how to turn that off. So she's kind of focused on her business, on her money situation, on her career. And she knows how to say her needs clearly, to direct herself. And she starts to love herself, and she doesn't need anybody else. She's her own person. She's starting to be independent. And, you know, for the man, same thing. He becomes a little bit more feminine in this time, where he's, you know, traveling the world and learning how to meditate and do yoga and wearing crystals and growing his hair out. It might not look exactly like that, but a softer, kind of more scared to assert himself, doesn't know his purpose kind of man. And again, they've got these walls of protection up. And this can be, you know, really interesting time for people to come together in relationship. And, you know, women are learning, like, not to use man's directions anymore and depend on their own voice for a sense of direction. They don't need a man anymore. They start to become leaders themselves. You see a lot of women at this point cut their hair short. Not that that matters, but you know what I'm saying. And, you know, women and men are the most alike during this stage. They're both dedicated to their self. They're both interested in self-definition, boundaries, and, you know, learning their independence, taking care of themselves. And this is leading to a 50-50 kind of relationship, a lack of polarity here. Okay, so kind of they blend together, the man and the woman. There's no really differentiating between the two, and this can create a low satisfaction. There can be a lot of complacency in this relationship and really just taking care of your own needs. And the words surrender and sacrifice are really not words that need to be there. They don't want them there, and they want to have a whole personhood, okay? And so they're learning to balance these sexual energies, and it just shows up differently. They're very lukewarm because even though they have this mutual self-responsibility, there's a lot less passion than mutual abandoning themselves in love. Okay, so this kind of leads to a boring, intimate relationship. It makes for a good friendship, you know, which is a step up from like the codependent craziness that was the stage before, but it really doesn't allow for the full expression of masculine and feminine energy to create a polarity that's very delicious. And, you know, second stage men are often really afraid to love their women. They listen a lot, but they are not very attentive when their women are talking. They really have no interest in what she's saying. And he doesn't know his purpose. Remember that. He's seeking for that. And that is taking up all of his energy in his mind. So even though he's present, he's really not present. And the woman can feel that. And even though she is independent, she still has a desire for a deep connection. And, you know, she really is kind of getting afraid of that it's not happening, and she doesn't trust her man. She's afraid to give her man the kind of love that he wants, and she's really kind of cautious to let go of her own boundaries, because last time she did it, it didn't work. So you can see how this can lead to that kind of relationship that has kind of a lukewarmness and a frustration can happen there. And I would say my second marriage was part this, part stage one. I was still in stage one of codependence. He was in stage two. He was not a very masculine, directive man. He didn't really know his purpose in his life, and he really had a hard time showing up for me intimately and connecting with me. But he wanted me to be self-sufficient. Even after we had our child, he wanted me to work and make a certain amount of money to contribute. He really didn't like, he didn't really know how to lead or have direction. And I honestly didn't let him, because I was very much masculine and belittling to him all the time. But that's why we were attracted to each other, because it is, you know, always the polarity that's happening that's attracting people to each other. And so he really was in a stage two place, and I was still in stage one. And then I eventually started to move into stage two, and I wanted to move to stage three, and he was not willing to go. He did not want to do the work. He did not want to open up and connect with me. And, you know, I speak of my friend Brian Reeves, who writes an article, Choose Her Every Day or Leave Her. And it kind of talks about this phase two kind of relationship of finding fault with each other and just really having complacency there, and how women can often leave in this time to go find something better, or men can leave as well. So I encourage you to check out that article if you haven't. Okay, let's talk about stage three, which is I love you. And this stage is about embodying fully the masculine or feminine energy fully. So there's great polarity there. And this is about offering love freely. So, you know, how do you go from the second to the third stage? Well, that's often a tunnel of despair. And the second stage man who's, you know, trying to find himself and connecting, he might realize that he feels incomplete and unfinished. And so he starts, you know, looking for more and wanting to open his heart to connect. And he starts to find his purpose and get his clarity. And the woman starts to realize that she's still yearning for love and she feels that void, whether she's in a mutually self-responsible 50-50 relationship or not, you know. And for most women, sisterhood and the feminist feeling is not enough. And a second stage man feels safe, but really not sufficient to kind of pierce her heart deeply. And so they're kind of reduced to zero in a sense, in a deep desire and need. And they really want to move to something more. And you have to go through each stage to get here. So a stage 1 person really can't jump to stage 3. They kind of need to go through stage 2 of the independence so that they can be, you know, sorry, I forgot to put this on the slide. This is a stage about interdependence. So learning how to rely on each other beautifully. And in order to get there, you know, you have to let go of the stage 2 and your independent stance and be sucked through this kind of tunnel of despair. And then through the tunnel, the work happens and you can emerge like a butterfly with wings of love. And that metamorphosis process can happen, which is what my business is named after. And it really is a death that needs to happen. And when the second stage woman or man dies, the third stage woman or man is born. And this stage is no longer searching for love, but rather exuding love, breathing love, living love, radiating love, offering this love freely, not just to opposite sex, but to everyone. And there is a deep intimacy that can happen here, and a sexual deliciousness because of the openness between each couple, each person, and also the lack of this, you know, these things that are blocking them from having this experience. And, you know, the third stage man, he's let go of everything, you know, searching for his calling, and he's looking for freedom. And men are generally looking for freedom in general. And he really can show up for her. And the third stage woman is let go of everything to be able to have true love. And she's not dependent on external love. And she's not relying on her self-love. She is love herself. And her mood is generally not needy or proud or clingy, but blessing. She offers love in a way that other people feel that. So, you know, it kind of is, I love the way this kind of goes too. Like in the first stage, you know, a woman can seduce a man body to body. And in the second stage, in the 50-50, it's often interesting at each other mind to mind. And then, you know, the third stage is really about heart to heart. And you can become very transparent here and open. And, you know, the feminine woman here is not shy of her feminine power. And she really does maintain her personal identity still. But she knows that she's love, and so she practices giving love moment to moment. And the man, you know, is very much showing up for her in his masculinity. He knows who he is. He can hold space for her. He's not afraid of her emotions at this stage. So I also like to say it this way: in a stage 3 relationship, the women are showing up very emotionally fit because they've dealt with all their childhood stuff. They've dealt with all their independent stuff. And they're able to actually show up in a way that inspires a man to want to devote himself to her. And the men show up emotionally intelligent. So they're no longer afraid of their own emotion. They've learned how to open up their own heart when they can meet her with her heart. And he's no longer afraid of that. And he can handle her emotions. If she is struggling, if she's angry, if she's whatever, he just lets her be. He's not afraid. He doesn't push it away. And he allows her to be who she is. So this really creates, you know, true walls down, heart open connection. And, you know, the key to maintaining this obviously is learning all the stuff that you need to go through in phase 1 and phase 2 to get here, but also continuing to do the work together, to open your hearts, to have communication, self-care, etc. So let me just pause here and see if anybody has any questions. here. So I'll just share this slide too. So, you know, in order to get through these stages and actually experience love within a relationship, but also within yourself, to be fully whole and complete, you need to do the work. Okay, you need to do the work to get there, and there's certain steps that I've learned in order to have my love metamorphosis. And the risk of not doing this work is great, but I want to encourage you that you too can have a love metamorphosis. And that's me and my daughter playing with Monarch Butterfly, a little painting. So I'm going to switch back to the video here. Oh, my throat's dry. And I want to kind of talk a little bit about some of the stuff that might be keeping us back from experiencing this kind of love. And so a lot of fear can overtake us, especially if we've been through divorce and we've seen some of these things play out. In order to actually move through these stages, we have to face our fear head on. Okay, so think about it like when you think there's a monster under the bed, you're lying in your bed, and you're just consumed with this fear about this monster. It's not until you go and lift up the bed sheet and actually look and the monster isn't there that your fear is actually released, right? So you just want to think about that. So hold on, sorry, I'm trying to figure this out here. So you really want to think about that we need to face our fears head on, and make sure that we are, you know, facing them and feeling them fully. So the way to do that is to do what I like to call a love blocks clearing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lead you through this love blocks clearing, and I want to help you kind of feel some of these things that you might be afraid of. So the way this works is I'm going to have you close your eyes. And I'm going to say a word. So I'm going to kind of just take a minute to kind of take in the energy from everybody that's on the call. So if you don't have your video on right now, please put it on. First of all, before we do this, does anybody have any questions? Any questions? No? Okay. So you're going to turn your video on, so anybody else who's watching, and so I can see you, make sure that you're doing this right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say a word. And when I say this word, I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to really feel all the emotions that come up around this word. So I'm going to give you a hold to do on your body as well. And you're going to feel the emotion, and I want you just to sit with it. Allow whatever it is to come up. I want you to pay attention to what you feel in your body and what you feel going on in your heart and your head, and I want you to pay attention to that, okay? So I want you just to go there with me. It might be uncomfortable, but I encourage you to try this, okay? Is everybody game? Okay, cool. All right, so go ahead and close your eyes. And for the first thing I want you to do, I'm going to take your right hand and place it right here on your chest, and take your left hand over top. And close your eyes. And the first word is failure. 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 What do you think when you think of failure? Where do you feel it in your body? Failure. All right, take a deep breath in. Exhale. I want you to shake out your arms a little bit. Pick out your hands. All right. Does anybody want to share how that was for them? Anybody want to? You can raise your hand. So if you go to the chat, there should be a way for you to raise your hand, or you can type in the chat box that you want to speak, and then I will unmute you. Anybody want to say about what came up for them, or where they felt that in their body? Okay, Charlie. All right, Charlie, you're unmuted. Do you want to go ahead?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, thanks. How are you? Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I actually have the new love of my life watching with me. I don't know if that's cheating, but unblock
No,
us.
it's not. It's good.
Yeah, I've always had so much potential professionally and just as a teacher and entrepreneur, but I just felt like I lost my 20s and my 30s to fighting for two marriages that like should have probably never happened in the first place. And if I focus on those 2 decades, I get very depressed. So I try to look forward to the great life that's possible, but I'm very aware of what I could have accomplished and haven't because of those decades, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And where did you feel at in your body? Did you feel it coming anywhere, like any pain in your chest or shoulder, or just what emotion? What did you feel?
I don't know if I did this time. I often feel uncomfortable in my stomach.
Okay.
Them stick cameras down there and all kinds of crazy stuff. I'm like, you're fine, So I'm assuming it's emotional and things are getting better, but that's where I typically would feel discomfort.
Interesting. Great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Type in the chat box that you want to speak, and then I can unmute you, or raise your hand if you know how to do that. Okay, no problem. We're going to do another one, okay? All right, so I want you to put your hands, just 1 second. I'm not sure why this isn't working to just, okay, there we go. Okay, so the next one, I want you to take your hands, and I'm going to have you take your hand like this, okay, actually like this. So you're going to put it on your belly button. So down here, and you put your left hand over top. So if you're right-handed, do your right hand. If you're left-handed, do your left hand. On your belly button, right hand over top. Okay, go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. And the next word is abandon. Abandoned. 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 Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Go ahead and shake out your hands a little bit. And come back. All right. And awesome. Does anybody want to share how that one was for them? Trish? Okay. Go ahead, Trish.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, okay. That was particularly difficult for me to work through because I feel I've been abandoned, but I also feel I may have abandoned him. because we're both at stage 1, I think. I possibly was moving into stage 2 and he was crying for help. I didn't recognise that at the time, but I think we're both very dysfunctional. Both have had 20-year marriages, both of us 2 times, you know. So we have children by previous marriages, and then we were together for 18 or so years. So, but it was sort of doomed from the start. But I felt also I might have abandoned myself as well, in that I was trying to please him to keep the marriage working, because I had that fear of abandonment, so I abandoned myself. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. A lot of things remind me of that stage 1.
Mm.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Very interesting what you've said about those 3 stages. It makes a lot of sense.
Mm. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Appreciate that. Thank you. All right. Anybody else? Let's see. I don't think anybody's in the chat. Okay. So we're going to do one more. And what I'm going to introduce you to here is some of the childhood work that I specialize in helping people figure out what their wounding is and what they're wired for, okay? Are you guys willing to try that with me? Yes? Okay. Awesome. So I'm going to have you close your eyes again. And this time you're just going to, again, put your right hand or the left over your heart. And take a deep breath in, close your eyes. Exhale. What I want you to do is I want you to picture yourself as a child. So whatever version of this of you that comes up, just go with it. Okay, it could be whatever stage you can remember of yourself at the youngest age, or whatever stage of memory is coming to you of something that happened significant. I want you to picture yourself. Okay, so I want you to visualize yourself standing there as a child. And I want you to walk towards yourself, you adult version, and see your childhood self. I want you to look them in the eye. I want you to ask them what they need. I want you to listen to the answer. What do you need? I want you to put your hand on their shoulder. I want you to tell them that it's okay. I want you to tell them that it's okay to desire that. They're not wrong for it. And keep looking, see what else they have to say, if there's anything more. I want you to tell them that they are loved. I want you to tell them that they are chosen. I want you to tell them that they are accepted. I want you to tell them that you're going to do your best to give them what they need. I want you to give them a hug. Now I want you to let them go play. Wave goodbye. And let them walk away. Let them know that you're here whenever they need you. All right, I want you to take a deep breath. Exhale. All right, open your eyes and come back to me now. All right, does anybody want to share how that was for them? Go ahead and type in the chat box or wave if you're on video. Charlie and friends.
Hi.
Hey,
Hi.
we're still looking at each other going, why are we crying? It was more graphic what I really said.
Yeah, but
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You said Charlie and friends. You give me more credit than I'm due. I just have one girlfriend.
Well, thanks for being vulnerable and sharing. That was emotional for you.
Yeah, thank you for that. Very, very interesting on how that went. It was complete. It's something that keeps popping, and I just never really listened to it because I don't take the time, obviously. But it's the whole rejection of my father. And it's just, it keeps going and going. And, you know, he had sent us away, and then coming back, I remember looking at him, and I was expecting this hug and just hold me, and it didn't happen. So that's where I went straight to. And yeah, it's amazing how that simple thing of just wanting to be held can like be so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I learned something.
Good.
So, thanks.
You're welcome. All right. Okay, so if nobody else wants to share, give another chance. Joe or Michelle, Trish, anybody? No? Okay, so we're gonna move back into the presentation. All right, so obviously, you guys just experienced a very small fraction of the work that I do with people. And I'm kind of just opening you up to what is in there. And, you know, what happens is when we start to release this stuff, it all comes to the surface and we need to deal with it. And I just want to encourage you that the risk of not doing this work is great, because I guarantee you, even if you're in a new relationship, this stuff is wired in you. Okay? This is in your subconscious mind, and it is going to be calling the shots. These children, this little girl, this little boy version of you is calling the shots in your relationship, is choosing people to heal that wound. And until you heal it, it's going to keep doing that. It's going to keep calling the shots, and the adult version of you is not going to be able to make a wise choice when it comes to love and relationships. And a second divorce is inevitable. Take it from me. And if it's already been a second for you, a third. Because we are a certain puzzle piece, and unless we change that puzzle piece, the same kind of puzzle piece is going to come in to match it. So we've got to do the work. So I want to encourage you to think about that. Now, what is the solution? For you today, the solution is my Love Comeback Booster Kit. And what this involves is Module 2 of my Love Comeback Mastery program, which is a 6-month program. And you're going to get Module 2 today of that. And what is included is a live group love blocks clearing. So what we just did, but more in depth. We're going to do way more clearings. We're going to focus on way more things. And this is available to you through the Love Comeback Booster. Childhood Wounds Healing Training video. So a video where I work through how to work with your little girl and your little boy to start to heal those things, and how to really start to make that a regular part of your life. A love worksheet where I go through what the module contains, what it's about, and give you some homework to work on. And a Heal Your Heart meditation that's going to get you starting to go into your heart and to heal some of this stuff. Okay, so this is great value. I need to tell you that my clients pay $400 a month at a minimum of 6 months to work with me. Okay, and today I'm going to be offering you the Love Comeback Booster for $97, which is an incredible value for what you're going to be getting. And I definitely want to encourage you to take advantage of this. So I'm going to post the link in a minute in the chat. And this offer is only going to be available for 24 hours, and then it goes away. Okay, and for the first 3 people, and there's going to be, I'm going to replay this webinar for everybody later, but the first 3 people who sign up with me are going to receive a one-on-one love blocks clearing. Okay, so that is huge. And I just want to remind you, I went from being really low self-worth, very depressed, hopeless, struggling with money, failed relationships, very masculine, codependent, purposeless, sick, and stressed. I had so much stress in my life, to this: confident, secure, hopeful, healed relationships, unshakable faith. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm attracted to healthy love and good men that are showing up in my life. I have a fierce mindset. I've embodied my feminine energy, and I'm happy and healthy. And I'm an amazing mom, and I'm not transferring my stuff to my daughter. And I've transformed my relationships with my family. My parents, I just went home to Canada for my brother's wedding, and my relationship with my parents is better than it's ever been because I've done this work. And it is showing up in all areas of my life: the type of friends I'm attracting to myself, the type of men I'm attracting to myself, and my relationship with my family. And so, yeah, I want to invite you guys to do the program. So I'm going to post the link in the box. And this is, again, a very awesome opportunity for you guys. So hold on, let me stop sharing my screen. To get everything that I offer for a really low price. So again, the first 3 people who sign up are going to get a free one-on-one love blocks clearing, or with me, added on, just individual, which means I can go more into your energy and more into your childhood stuff and figure out what it exactly is that you need to clear, and we can work through that for the first 3 people. And so you can go ahead and click on that link, grab it right now. You can go and you can start to sign up for that right now. And for the first 3 people, you're going to get that opportunity. Okay, so I really just want to encourage you guys to take advantage of this and understand how important this work is, even within a new relationship. So it's only going to strengthen and make you guys have a stronger bond to be able to actually maintain the exciting part of the relationship that's happening right now, because that is going to fade, and then you're left with what's underneath, and all the issues start to come up. Okay, so just remember that within a relationship, the infatuation stage lasts for a minimum of 2 years, where your brain is actually full of chemistry and chemicals, and when that fades, all the stuff comes up. So it's much better to work on this stuff now and to experience a healthy relationship with yourself, and then being able to experience it with someone else. So again, this is not just about getting a new relationship. This is about becoming a whole individual yourself. This has transformed my life. I'm in the best place I've ever been in my life. And it took me 7 years to learn all these pieces and the things I'm teaching you. 7 years. And I don't want you guys to have to wait that long. And so I'm offering this to you at an incredible deal today, because I want to help. That's my heart, is service and helping people who've been through pain through divorce, because it is debilitating. And I know firsthand how much it can wreak havoc in your life. Yeah, I encourage you to go grab it. Go grab it right now. Don't wait. Don't take any time. You just know that this is an incredible offer. And I'm just going to share my screen again. So go ahead and go grab that Love Booster Kit for $97, which is an incredible value. And I'm going to offer the free gift now. So the free gift is a love blocks clearing with me. So again, this work is continual. So most of my clients do at least 4 to 5 of these clearings with me. So I'm going to give 1. So I'm going to pick a number between 1 and 45. And I'm going to write that number down right now. And then you go ahead and type in the chat box, guess the number, and the first person to guess the number is going to win the love blocks clearing. So go ahead and type in the chat, start guessing some numbers, and whoever wins, whoever guesses first. Okay, it's not there yet. Keep going, type in some numbers. Nope. 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 A number 1 to 45. Nope. Charlie's the only one guessing. Trish, Joe, Michelle, Esther, why don't you type in the chat box? Charlie's the only one guessing. He's going to win. Keep going. It's not there yet. I don't see anybody else typing. Keep going. This is great. Bingo, 33. 33. All right, Charlie, you have won, fine sir, a free Love Blocks clearing with myself. So make sure that you email me, okay? lovemetamorphosis.com@gmail.com. Make sure you email me and let me know, give me your name and your email address so we can connect to book that, okay? I'll email you 33 times. No, don't do that. I don't want my inbox filled. Awesome. Okay, guys. So again, I just want to remind you that this offer to do this work with me is $97 today for 24 hours. After that, that deal goes away. And again, this is usually only presented to my clients who work one-on-one with me or in a group program for 6 months at $400 a month. So I really want you to be able to take advantage of this and to be able to move forward in your love lives and to experience the freedom and joy and change your relationships, not only with yourself, but with those around you. So it has been an hour, and I'm going to sign off now unless anybody has any questions they'd like to ask in the chat box about the booster, anything like that. Let me just go see. Anybody have any questions? Awesome. All right. We've got some people purchasing. This is exciting. Great. I'm excited to have you guys and to do some work with you going forward. I don't think you're going to regret it. And keep going, you guys. And just remember, I'm here for you. So if you have any questions, you can email me. Please, my desire is to communicate with you and be able to help you. I don't know if all of you are in my Love Metamorphosis Facebook group, but I post stuff there all the time, tools and tips and techniques. I have an email list, if you're not a part of that yet, that I send out regular information to. I do a weekly Fearless Friday video where I talk about fears that come up throughout divorce and heartbreak and how to overcome those. And it's all free information that I share with you. So I invite you to be able to join me there. So if you're interested in being a part of that community, if you're not yet, you can email me, lovemetamorphosis.com@gmail.com. And I also post blogs weekly on my blog. And I'm just very excited to help and serve you. Email address is, let me just type it, lovemetamorphosis.com@gmail.com. Okay, so you can email that link and request to be added to the community, request to be added to the Facebook group if you're not in already. And I look forward to connecting with you guys soon. So thank you so much for participating today, and I will see you soon. Bye.